Welcome to Enlightened Evolution.
I'm Cay.
And I'm Christina.
We're here to discuss the ebb and flow of our soul's healing and transformation through self-reflection, choosing intentionally, honoring thyself, and following your inner guide.
Thank you for joining this safe space with us.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Enlightened Evolution with Cay and Christina. We hope that I said your name.
I liked it. I was like, ooh.
Cay and Christina.
Christina. You gotta say it like Petey Pablo.
We hope that you're doing fucking fantastic this morning. Today we're going to talk about attachment theory. This was so interesting to me. I love this. I started diving into this like a couple years ago about attachment styles. How are you doing? Which we kind of just discussed because we're filming again today, but
I'll tell you what I'm doing today,
tell me
which
what
is not
you're
much of
doing.
anything. I usually get like meal delivery boxes. I won't say the company because honestly, I need them to sponsor us. I do really like them. I'm going to write to them and see if they will sponsor us because I'll sing their praises. But we did not order a box this week. So I rarely don't order a box. And then I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? So I'm going to make a meal plan for the week and go grocery shopping and buy the ingredients myself, I guess.
You know, my parents will do this sometimes with the meal boxes, and I don't know what brand they use either. Is it worth it to you? So they deliver, and is it like the same price as going grocery shopping, or is it more?
No, it's so much cheaper.
Are you
The
serious?
brand I use, I mean,
Just text
okay,
it
I'll
to
just
me.
say it. It's every plate. Okay. Um they're owned by HelloFresh. I've used HelloFresh before. HelloFresh started getting a little bit pricey. Every plate is the cheapest one that I've seen. So I get 3 meals. Typically, I'll get 3 to 4 meals. I'm trying to look at what the price was. It
Every
did go up a little
plate?
bit. Yeah, every plate. I wonder if it tells me the price in here.
Is it like the app? Do they have an app?
Yep.
Yep.
Does it tell me the price?
Right here. It's yellow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So for 3 meals for 2 people, so technically 6 meals, it's $44.
Shut the fuck up.
I can't go out to dinner with Jordan and I and only
For one
spend
meal.
$44. Right.
Usually that's how much I spend on myself.
Right. And they're good meals. They have a good rotation. They have like a very wide menu. I didn't order this week because I just didn't love any of the meals, and that's rare. Like typically every week we order at least 3. Sometimes you can order like the minimum we can order is 3, but sometimes I'll order 4 or 5. And I love it because
sorry, go ahead. I had a question.
they send you only specifically the amount of ingredients you need. So like if I went to the grocery store and try to recreate these meals, if I got to buy a big bag of potatoes or a big bag of green beans or whatever it might be. Yeah. And I'm not a leftovers person. I will say I did use this still when I was single. It was helpful. I would make the meal that night and then I would take the second meal for lunch the next day.
Yeah, that is nice to do. What was I going to ask you? Oh, you mentioned that you didn't like the meals this week. Do they?
You can skip as much as you want.
But well, that week they only do those meals for everybody. Like you have to, if you want, like you don't get to choose what you want that week.
You always get to choose, and they have at least close to 20 meals to choose from. But it was just a rare week with the combo of what they had. I just wasn't really feeling it. But like last week, our meals were stuffed green peppers with like this pork sausage and couscous. And it was like a tomato base. That's one of my favorite. I love it. We also had a pork chop with rice with a mango salsa on it. That was delicious.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think what our other meal was. I don't remember. And they'll do a lot of swaps. So maybe there's a meal and it has like pork and you don't eat pork. You can swap it for ground beef or turkey or something. You can swap your vegetables sometimes. So it gives you a lot of choices, really.
Nice. I'm gonna look into it because I also hate going to the grocery store,
Hate going to the grocery
and
store.
I
I hate
spend
thinking of what to eat.
yeah, I spend so much more when I actually go to the grocery store too.
I do too. Yeah, I do. And I've never done like where you do the order pickup
Oh, I love
because
that, especially during the wintertime. I don't have to carry no heavy shit. They bring it
I
right
do.
out to
Yeah.
me. I don't and it takes me like 10 minutes max to grocery shop with my phone at Walmart because I'll use Walmart. And then
Uh
even
huh.
though actually I should use something else because they're not really my favorite. But anyways, yeah, and then I get exactly what I want. You pull up, you it's so easy. And if you spend over $30, it's free to do curbside pickup. When do you not spend more than
And
$30
I yeah,
at the grocery
you can't
store?
walk in the store without spending $30. Do you ever have issues with them, like, getting like, with swapping products if they don't have something?
Sometimes, but rarely, and usually it's like a beauty product, which is fine. I'll just order that shit from Amazon or something. But
Mhm.
I don't always like doing I like to pick up my own produce as well.
That's the thing. I don't trust other people to pick my produce. I'm very much wanna pick
Mhm.
it myself.
But
I'm
like
like
I was just gonna say, like, snacks, laundry detergent. I always got a bunch of kids over
yeah,
here, so bottles of water, just all this big, heavy stuff all the
the
time.
essential
Yeah, or,
stuff.
like, my meal prepping stuff for work is actually pretty easy too because ooh, now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if you can get rotisserie chicken on curbside
Oh,
pickup.
I'm
I
sure,
love
yeah.
rotisserie chicken.
I love to get I love to get the containers of it, like, already shredded and then use that
Yes.
and, like I like to do the homemade kava bowls, and I'll use that chicken in it.
Mhm.
Ugh,
Yeah, ooh, I
I
want
might
chicken
make that one
enchiladas
of my
now.
meals.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. There's so much you can do with the rotisserie
Mhm.
chickens to make meals out of them.
I know. Love
I'm adding
them.
that to my list. What are you doing today? More cleaning?
I'm doing more cleaning today. I'm gonna go back to that park and run back up that hill a couple times. I'm super sore today. But yeah, I'm like in this organization mode and purging mode. Like I'm relentless with this shit I'm looking at and I don't need. And my kids, I'm proud of them for cleaning their rooms, seeing stuff they don't want anymore and getting rid of it. I've never been the type to like, "Oh, keep that, keep that." That was put on me a lot as a kid, like, feeling guilty about getting rid of things for a sentimental value or, "Oh, you'll use that one day," or, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with that." Like, no, I don't want my kids to feel that way, but what they do I have a spare bedroom, and so everything they take out of their rooms that they don't want, they just throw in this spare bedroom.
Oh.
"Sir, ma'am, bag it, dump it, throw it in the garage." Like, "Well, we didn't know what to do with it." Throw it away. I don't give a fuck. You know? But
Do you
and the
donate them?
anything, yeah, donate it, and I do need to be better about donating, but when I start purging things, I'll just take that shit to the street. I do need to be better about it,
Oh.
but I do, but some stuff, it's just like, no one wants this shit. Like, this is an old
Yeah,
raggedy towel. I don't
sometimes.
wanna you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody wants this, so I'll
Mhm.
just, like, throw it away or whatever. But so that's what I'm gonna do today is purge and organize further, and
Nice.
I was gonna save these projects for wintertime to not be so in the house, but,
Mm.
during the summer months here, because we cherish them here in Michigan. But I'll paint during the wintertime and do that.
Oh, yeah. I
So,
haven't painted in a while. I actually probably should do some painting. That's very therapeutic.
yeah, it is. I think I'm actually gonna just paint everything white. It's I don't know why
Like in
I'm
your house?
Yep, everything, every wall, just white.
Why?
Because it's clean and it makes my heart happy to see everything white and clean.
See, I feel like that too. Like my house it's this kind of gray white. It's like an off-white as
Mhm.
you see from the wall. Every single wall is this color except I just painted one wall green. But I've lived in this house almost 2.5 years and have not painted anything and it's all this color. And people have said something like, it's kind of like you're living in an apartment. Like it's just why haven't you, like, made it cozier?" And I'm like, I like this
Yeah.
clean
It's less chaos to
color."
me. Yeah, it's less chaos to me.
Yeah.
I like it simple. I love white with, like, wood shelves or wood accent things, and
Mhm.
then plants to give it the
Yeah.
color, and
That's my house is full of color from my
yeah.
plants, from my art
Yeah,
that's on the walls,
from your
but the
cats.
walls
Oh,
are
you got a new cat. Did you name
Yeah!
her?
Tiramisu.
Tiramisu! Oh my god, I fucking love it. That's my favorite fucking oh my god, that's my favorite dessert.
Yeah, mine too, and so that's like, all of our cats have, food names, which I love, it's so cute, and Jordan started it with his 2 cats, he had named them Zucchini and Bellini, and then we got Moon
Bellini.
Pie, and that's and that's what the shelter named her Moon Pie, and I was like, "Actually, she's a black cats remind me of the moon." Also, the snack Moon Pies, were my grandma's favorite snacks, so I was like, "I
Hmm,
love it, we'll
fitting.
keep it." It was hard to name this new kitten. She's fucking gorgeous,
She
and I was
is. Where is she at?
like, n I
You'll have
didn't
to
bring her
get
in
her
here
later and
because
show me.
she's a psychopath. Yeah, I'll grab her when we're done
Why is
recording.
she
Sh
psycho?
she's got that kitten energy, and she's all over the place, and I
Yeah.
was like, "She's gonna disrupt the recording,"
How are
but she's
the
also a lover.
how is she with the other cats yet? Do they love her yet or no?
Moon Pie loves her.
Oh,
Ludo
good,
loves
good,
her.
good. I'm glad Moon
Yeah,
Pie does.
I do, I am too, because Moon Pie has really, like, taken her under her wing, and she'll let her, like, nuzzle her, but she'll still, like, bop her on the head when she's being
Yeah.
too much,
Get in line.
but she don't, like, hiss at her or anything. The other 2, they don't love they don't like any other cats, Bellini and Zucchini. Like, they don't like each other, they don't like Moon Pie. So, they're just like, stay away from me."
Mhm.
Zucchini is probably having the most trouble with it. She keeps, like, hissing at her and, like, wanting to whack her if she comes too close. So she's learning the kitten's learning her boundaries and who she can go to and who she can't. Her and Moon Pie have been, like, chasing each other across the house, which is awesome. It's getting her
Good.
some exercise. She only weighs, like, 1 pound, so, like, she weighs nothing. Like, I pick her up and
Mhm.
it's nothing, and then I pick up Moon Pie and she's fucking ginormous. I'm like, "Oh my god, girl, when did you get so heavy?"
I love it.
But yeah, she's super sweet. She snuggles under my neck. She's making me break out because she constantly touches my face when I'm sleeping with her little dirty ass
Oh,
paws.
no. You're nice to let them sleep in your house. I don't let Beyoncé sleep in my room. I mean,
I've
and
been losing a lot of sleep because she'll randomly attack my face in the middle of the night. Not like bad, but she'll like put her little claws out and I'm like,
oh,
I'm such a light sleeper.
yeah, same. Yeah, I don't want any animals in my room at night. Plus, I'm a little traumatized from having animals in my bed from
Yeah.
raccoons and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like my sleep. Cats are just so they're night owls, so they just wanna get up and play and touch you all night.
And all of our adult cats, they all sleep through the night. Like Moon Pie sleeps at the foot of our
Really?
bed. She don't do nothing. Belle has a couch at the end of our bed that she sleeps on. Zucchini sleeps over here in the corner in her little princess bed.
Mm,
And they all have their spots and they stay there. But the kitten energy, like she wakes up at like 4:30 and she's ready to go.
that's funny. Well, you're sweet for letting her share your space at night.
She screamed bloody murder. That's why it was listen to her scream all night or have her sleep on my face. So I
Mhm.
chose sleep on my
Yeah,
face.
fair. That's fair. She's probably scared too. She's going through a lot of changes being from
Yeah.
a shelter to your house and new people, new everything, new
Yeah.
space. All right. Would you like to dive into this attachment styles?
Let's do it.
So, attachment theory was found by this British psychologist, John Bowlby. It's the lasting psychological connections between human beings. It suggests that from birth, as a child, we create a bond from our primary caregivers, and our bond with our caregivers is what impacts us in our adult life with relationships. It's that long-term bond relationship between a child and their primary caregiver as well as romantic partners, and it talks about the different this will just talk about the different styles of the attachment style and how they're formed, the characteristics, and how they impact our relationships. How we're nurtured physically and emotionally both play vital roles equally when we develop our attachment style moving into adulthood. Is that did you see that when you were looking stuff up? I thought it was I didn't know it was a I didn't I wish I would have found the year this theory was found. I don't know
Oh,
how long
yeah.
this has been a thing. I just feel like I found out about
Yeah.
it, like, within the last, like, 5 or 7 years, I feel like I've
Mhm.
been aware
Yeah,
of it.
that's really when I started hearing about it, and I would see different, like, maybe on things on social media, like, this is what it's like to have an anxious attachment. This is what it's
Mhm.
like to have disorganized. And this is what secure attachment means. But I until we dove into this episode, I didn't realize, which it makes total sense, that it's formed from your primary caregivers and it's formed early, like in
Yes.
infancy. And I didn't realize how much that effect would have, but it diving into it, it made total sense why
Mhm.
that would affect the rest of your life and how you perceive
And I
relationships.
can't remember if it was God forgive me if I'm wrong, but Freud or Piaget or Erickson.
Freud.
Freud went trust versus mistrust is what you learn in infancy before
Mhm.
you can even talk. Like, if you cry, you need to be picked up by your caregiver to and they have to give you, meet your needs of why you're crying. And
Mhm.
if they neglect you during those, times in infancy, you have a very hard time trusting people throughout the rest of your life. I just think that's
Yeah.
wild. Mhm.
I think it's wild, and I think, like, everything we talk about, I'm like, "This is why I don't wanna be a parent. This is why I don't" like, that amount of pressure on you as
Mhm.
a parent to, like, "Hey, if you fuck this up, you're fucking it up for the rest of their life."
Yeah.
But there is I mean, you can heal from your attachment styles, and there is
You
a
can.
light at the end of a
You
tunnel.
can, and we're all human. Like, we've talked about our moms a lot. They did the best that they could,
Yeah.
honestly, and
Yeah.
they loved us and they showed up for us, and we could call them now, and they would be there, and
Mhm.
that says a lot because a lot of people do not have that type of support system.
Yeah.
Secure attachment style is when your primary caregiver does fulfill all your needs. They make you feel safe. When you cried, they picked you up. When you had they helped you regulate your emotion, your nervous system when you're a child, and you really felt that emotional connection with them. You felt like they understood you,
You
and
felt like your needs were being met.
yeah, you felt loved, you felt safe, you felt taken care of. Your parent would have been very emotionally available to you, and then you'll just adopt this into adulthood, and it'll be easier for you to trust people and feel secure in your relationships. You'll be more grounded, you emotionally stable, you'll be able to communicate openly and honestly and be more vulnerable with your romantic partners. You have good self-esteem and confidence. Do you have anything else for secure attachment?
Just to say that it must be nice. Must be nice to have experienced that.
Yeah, like, these people don't experience that unworthiness feeling, the insecure feeling. They don't have these jealous, clinginess, insecurity, and they have just these stable, flourishing relationships.
Yeah. When people talk about privilege, like, I know there's racial privilege and things, but I don't think we talk enough about the privilege that people experience being raised by emotionally intelligent parents. And I feel like it's also such a rarity. So, like, yeah, don't be down on yourself if you weren't as emotionally regulated when you raised your children or when you were raised. But there's a lot of privilege that goes into having emotionally intelligent parents and having that set you up for the rest of your life because you don't have to
Absolutely.
fight these struggles.
And I am guilty of it. Well, I'm not guilty of having infants and not picking them up when they cried. That they they got great doses of that from every family member for sure. But just as I was struggling through my romantic relationships and they went through that with me, I think my emotional availability, even through nursing school or working long days, sometimes it's very hard to be emotionally present. So don't be.
And that's where privilege comes in too. Like
Mhm.
some parents, they cannot be present because they have to provide and they have to work 2, 3 jobs and they can't be home to meet all of your needs. And that's because they got to be able to pay the bills.
Mhm.
And that's real too.
And the guilt's real. The guilt's real too. Not being able to be in all places at once, fulfilling all roles.
Yeah,
So we do definitely do our best.
absolutely.
Next on my list, I have anxious attachment style. It's an insecure attachment style. I think it's characterized more by fear of abandonment. People with anxious attachments tend to be generally insecure in romantic relationships. They are very likely to be constantly anxious and worried about their partner leaving them or the relationship not working out for multiple reasons. And there may not even be a real reason to worry. It's formed from just being inconsistently loved and cared for as a child, whether that's physically or emotionally. Their caregivers were just just failed to be there for them for reasons we've already talked about, some things, your circumstances you can't even control.
Mhm.
And a lot of times it's not due to them being bad parents. It's just for me, I was young, I had lack of experience, mental health issues, and it's not that I didn't have the resources I needed. Well, I guess it kind of had to do with that, but I just wasn't aware. I just wasn't educated. I think everybody should have to take those classes that they gave us in college of child development. If I would have
Oh,
had that,
yeah.
my eyes, it's like I had 40,000 epiphanies when I took that class, the childhood development class, pediatrics, I think it was. And it was like, "Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
I wish I would have known this when I had my son."
Right? My friend, she has adopted both of her children, and in order to adopt, did it through fostering. In order to be a foster parent, you have to take all of these classes for on parenting, and she's like, "But anyone else can just go pop a baby out at
Mhm.
the hospital, take their kid home, no idea what they're doing." But and I get it because, like, the kids you're fostering are already coming from such horrible situations. They
Yeah,
need to go to someone who's got some knowledge about how to raise children, but I think every parent would benefit from those classes.
absolutely. Kids who receive this inconsistent attention at a they that they'll develop that anxious attachment style, and you'll show up in your romantic relationships feeling insecure and having this, codependency, constantly anxious about your partner leaving you, unable to regulate your emotions in a healthy way, low self-esteem, the trust issues, needing constant validation, very sensitive to any form of criticism, and just tend to develop the jealousy at unhealthy levels.
Oh, yeah. This is my attachment style. I will say I was very deep in the trenches of it most of my life. I am healing from it now and moving towards secure. But when I went in, so there's a quiz and I've tagged it in our show notes that you can go and do. And I love this quiz because it tells
I
you
do too.
specifically each relationship, your attachment style with your mother, attachment with your father, with your partner, with society in general. And all of mine were very different. But overall, the theme was anxious or preoccupied. And when I was reading through it, I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Like this type of attachment style, you're more apt to having a lot of partners or to kind of being like a serial monogamist. That had been a theme throughout my life. I just jumped from one relationship to the another because you're looking for that validation of worthiness in that relationship.
I can relate to that 100%. I took that quiz as well, and you and I got the same thing. And before doing this, I was certain that I had a disorganized attachment style. But after doing this quiz, it says that I'm the anxious preoccupied. So I'm not in a relationship right now. Started dating somebody recently that I thoroughly enjoy, but I don't have these. I'll call myself healing for sure because I don't have these. What is he doing? Is he with other people? He hasn't texted me back yet. You know, I'm just at peace, and I think I've let go of a lot of attachment in general to outcomes, but it's taken me a long time to get there.
Oh, yeah. And one of the things I found interesting about this, so it's formed in childhood, but then you tend to choose partners that are also going to feed this attachment style. So, my very
Mhm.
first boyfriend cheated on me. So, that made me feel unworthy. It made me feel anxious. Like, okay, is everyone going to cheat on me? Then, my very first my first husband, who was my first long-term boyfriend, cheated on me multiple times, was abusive. And so it does say, and when you have this attachment style, you tend to continue to get in these types of relationships that confirm I am unworthy, I am not safe, I am going to be abandoned, and you have to kind of break that cycle.
You do. My last relationship, we were both extremely anxious attachment, and that was exhausting.
It is. It's so exhausting.
I also think that once you because I believe that you can heal from it. I think that sometimes those feelings are still gonna be there, those triggers are still gonna be there. Allow yourself to feel it, and but once you learn the tools to move through it, you can try to build much healthier relationships. I think that anxiety, like, breeds anxiety. So when like,
Mhm.
if I feel like it's when you're in a new relationship and it feels healthy, you have to find a healthy way to communicate with this person because it's like almost a snowball effect. It's a pattern in every single relationship. They'll start asking me like, "What are you doing? I have a bad feeling about you," like distrusting me, and then it's like, "Okay, are you
Maybe
projecting?
I shouldn't
What
trust
maybe I
you.
shouldn't trust you."
Mhm.
So it's just this like perpetual cycle back and forth, and every single day it's just keeping tabs on each other and what each other's doing, and that's what it forms into is
Yeah,
constant like dysregulated nervous system. What is this person doing? I stop eating, I lose weight, I'm constantly on edge, I don't take care of myself, and I've had multiple relationships like that. So,
same.
mm. Avoidant attachment, which I've also thought I was this before, but really I think I just avoid the bullshit, and I'm proud of myself actually. I'm not avoidant attachment. I just am not about to.
This one is really interesting to me
It
because
is.
I'm trying to think if I've encountered anyone like this before.
So let's see. I for this I have being vulnerable makes them very uncomfortable. An avoidant attachment style is insecure attachment where a person is fearful of both physical and emotional intimacy with a romantic partner. People with this attachment style may find it hard to build close bond with their partner and have a tendency to keep a distance from them to avoid, just being close and intimate. It's usually as a result of their caregivers being very strict or absent as,
Mhm.
in childhood. If a child was left alone to do a lot of things by themselves and then were highly criticized all the time, needing help and their caregiver not being there to help them with little things or big things. They avoid doing things at a very young age to not upset their caregiver or to
Mhm.
avoid not being criticized from their caregiver. And let's see, it builds
These
it.
people are usually, like, high performers. A lot of
Mhm.
them they stay single a lot because they want to avoid the emotional closeness of a relationship.
Yeah, and I think it's because I mean, into adulthood, they want to avoid being rejected and disappointed and criticized. So
Mhm.
intimacy and love feels very uncomfortable to them. So they're afraid
I
of
was
that.
Yeah. Do you think you've ever dated someone with this attachment style?
I think I've had I don't I don't kn you know, looking back, there hasn't been when you earlier when you mentioned, like, serial monogamy, that's me to a
Mhm.
T as well. I think that as I've gotten into my 30s, that's been far and few between because we're not gonna be doing this. We're not gonna keep doing this. But I think the people that I've had very short-term, like, physical relationships with, because 'cause I'm such a lover, so I really didn't change. I still wanted that closeness, but looking back, now that you mention it, there's been a couple guys where it was almost like the buildup of talking all the time and, like, getting to know each other for a little bit and then sleeping together, and after sleeping together, they kinda fell off and became distant from me. So I don't know if it was,
Mhm.
like, the hunt was over, the chase was over, they didn't want it anymore, that's how I kinda categorized it, but it was because we all have this physical need to have sex. The want for it. But so I think, maybe those people were avoidant. They couldn't even get to the place of being vulnerable enough to talking about deeper feelings.
Mhm.
Hmm. I think that sometimes, people wanna be able to trust. These people find it very difficult to trust, just as it's difficult for the attachment styles to trust, but I think more so they won't even go there. They won't even
Mhm.
get to the point to where like, I think they're also anxious. I think they're anxious in another way.
Mhm. It just shows up as being more
Avoidant.
distant.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, they just block people from being too close, and like you said, they have a very strong sense of this independence. They keep their partners at a distance, and I think eventually it probably leads to a lack of intimacy.
Mhm.
Like, in the beginning, it's fresh and new, and when that freshness begins to fade, I don't know if they just don't trust anymore or probably just fear of being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else for avoidance?
No, I don't think so.
Next, I have disorganized. This is characterized by inconsistent behavior. I think it exhibits traits of both longing for love as having a fear of it, like fear of rejection.
Mhm. It's kind of a combo of the
It
last 2 that we
is.
talked about.
Like they seek the love and attention, and then they are afraid to show any vulnerability. I think it stems from contradicting like parents that were very contradicting for what the child receives starting at a young age if their caregivers acted as a source of both safety and fear. That child can start forming the disorganized attachment style from neglect, trauma, abuse, physically or psychologically. I think a good example of this would be like you get your ass beat, for doing something bad, and then you're crying because your parent just beat your ass, and then they're like, "I love you, right?"
Yeah.
Something like that. I think
Yeah.
into adulthood, these people have high levels of anxiety. They're longing for love, but afraid to commit. Their behavior is kind of contradictory, unable to trust
Mhm.
people, difficult to communicate and resonate with other people. This is why I still think I'm disorganized.
Did you end up you said you didn't look at your map of where things are plotted with the quiz?
Was it the 4 squares?
Uh-huh.
I did. Yeah, I did. I don't even know if
You
I
might
have.
have some that are in this like, my attachment with my mother is disorganized.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to find that email. Yahoo, I have like 50,000 emails in my Yahoo because I wanna look at that.
Yeah. I like, it's weird to me on my map, I only have one that's actually in anxious, and then I have one that borders the line of anxious and disorganized, one
Mhm.
that's fully in disorganized, and then one that's in the, avoidant. I have none
Yeah.
that are insecure.
None are insecure? No, none insecure.
N
I get it. Yeah,
Correct,
yeah.
none that are in the secure category, but mine with my so the quiz, I don't know, did we say it it measures your relationship with your mother, your father, your current partner in
Mhm.
society. My one with my current partner is the one that's closest to secure, but it's still
Yeah.
anxious.
Yeah. This the way that disorganized impacts relationships is a lot like the avoidant. They tend to seek the love but quickly push the people away. Their behavior hurts their partner and leaves them confused, feeling helpless. It This one, a lot of times the relationship can turn very toxic, draining, and abusive.
Mhm.
I think to overcome the anxious, avoidant, and disorganized, I think it does take some level of self-awareness, getting into therapy. I've seen so many great influencers on TikTok that are therapists, and
Mhm.
I love listening to them and their advice and explaining how certain dynamics of relationships. I like the scenarios they give. Like some therapists will not talk about, obviously give names of who they see, but they'll give examples of the clients and their experiences and stuff, and I
Mhm.
love the examples that people give on there of different
Oh,
scenarios, or
yeah.
if people write in and want advice or whatever.
And I think I love that we're in a time and place where, like, we've mentioned before that maybe therapy is not maybe you can't afford it or
Mhm.
it's not something available to you. You can learn so much from social media. I mean, you gotta learn discernment
Yeah.
and, like, who you can actually trust as a resource. But not only are there online resources like the Mayo Clinic and other organizations that you can learn from, but so many actual therapists are on social media sharing with you the things that you would learn in therapy. So for a time period for me, like when I didn't have health insurance, TikTok was my therapy.
Yeah. No, seriously though. And like you said, we're not gonna be in alignment with every therapist that gets on there for whatever reason. If it don't apply, let it fly, but take what resonates. And
Yeah.
yeah, I like this one. I love that quiz.
Mhm.
I think that being in relationships with people like this, going to therapy together can help. I really reference my last relationship a lot because that was the most relevant to me and it affected me psychologically so much. But we were both very anxious, tried to go to therapy together, tried therapy separately, and we just couldn't become secure. There's things that couldn't be let go of. And I think we probably, may get to a certain point in a relationship where like enough damage is done and there's no coming back to make it healthy again. And I think
Yeah.
that was really hard for me to accept when I decided to leave, that this has gone too far. There's absolutely not never getting back to like a good place with this person ever again.
Because it's so easy to slip back into those old
It
patterns,
is.
and then you're back at square one, and you're like, "Are we ever gonna come out of this?"
Yeah.
But you know that, like, both of you have the potential to heal
Mhm.
and do better in future relationships, but like you said, sometimes the damage is done, and there's just no coming back from it in
Yeah.
that relationship.
Yeah, moving forward in future romantic relationships, I'm definitely aware of my attachment style. I do feel like based on that quiz, it was anxious preoccupied, but for the most part in this romantic relationship, I do feel secure just knowing what I need, knowing what I'm going to accept from somebody, knowing what I'm capable of giving and what I'm worthy enough to receive from other people. And if you get into a relationship, like was Jordan aware of attachment styles before you brought this to him or
No,
asked him? No, right. And it's
I
like
think he was aware yesterday when I told him to take the quiz.
right. Right. So anybody else like I choose to be with, I'm just like it's just something cool to just become more self-aware of, to know yourself deeper, like the attachment styles, your love languages, how do
Yeah.
you
I found this website from Sue Mahoney, and she has a list of like ways to heal from insecure attachment. So the three that we listed, avoidant, disorganized, and anxious, those are all insecure attachment styles. And then secure is what we hope to be, right?
Mhm.
And the number one thing she said is get to know yourself first. Know what your attachment style is so that you can then make decisions from there. So if you want to take an online quiz, I also link that in our resources. You might already know what your attachment style is. There's books out there you can read. But knowing what yours is and knowing how that is going to show up in your relationships is super important.
Mhm. Yeah, I love this. Just diving deeper into who I am. We're all works in progress.
Yeah. Some other suggestions she has for healing: rest is one of them, meditation. I feel like I get a lot of answers that aren't readily available to me when I
Mhm.
meditate. And one that I found really important is touch. So she said to find safe touch, and touch is such a hard one for me because I've had so many unsafe touch in my life and in my trauma. And one of the suggestions she gives is animal therapy. So
Yeah.
if you have pets, dogs, cats, spending time with them, finding that safe touch. Horse therapy is a huge thing. People go out and spend time with horses. They're such intelligent creatures. And it's not only like finding a trusted source that can touch you, so like cuddling with a pet or something, but also practicing that safe touch with something else. Like we know cats, they got like a certain pet limit and then they're like, all right, stop touching me.
Mhm. Yes, they do.
or, or horses, they might not be readily to trust you right away, and you have to build that bond with them before they'll trust you.
Yeah, I love that.
One of the other things that I thought was really helpful, and maybe Jordan and I will have this conversation today, is once you know your attachment styles and you know how they manifest, having that conversation with your partner if you're in a relationship of like, how does my attachment style affect our relationship? And asking them, how do you see it show up? Asking them how it affects them, and then maybe developing a plan of like how to navigate that in the future.
Mhm. Yes. I wish I mean, I can't say that because you can't go back, but having all these tools now that I now have in my life, if I would have had them 10 years ago, it would have saved me so much grief
Oh, yeah.
and bullshit and
Oh, yeah.
trauma, you know, which hurt people, and we've all been affected by our parents and other romantic partners and moving through relationships unconsciously. Just perpetuates that.
Yeah.
But
But now when you know better, you do better, and
that's
that's
absolutely
that's
right.
what we're doing.
That's we are. Do you have anything else for us today?
No?
I do not. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. If you struggle with things, I hope that you find somebody to talk to and you can feel open and vulnerable enough and trust your partner enough to bring these things to them. I think they're fun exercises to do, especially if you're in a good place. It's like, hey, like let's learn something about each other today. But
Yeah.
now that I'm dating again, if I bring things like this to people, and they're completely, like, blow me off and say
Oh.
they're gonna do it, but then they never do or they're not interested. It's like, you don't want to evolve whatsoever or get to know me deeper, and it's, like, a huge turn off to me, and I'll just stop talking. Like, I'll just respectfully say, "Hey, like, I'm not." You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. Like, is it something you bring up on the first date? No, but
Right.
if you're really starting to build a bond with someone and you see a future in it, these are the conversations you should be having,
Mhm.
and they should be open to it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so I love doing it. Well, alright. Everybody have a wonderful day.
Thank you for listening and supporting us. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
We're also available on YouTube.
Namaste.
Namaste.